All right, fourth graders, today we're starting our circular weaving. So at your tables, you're going to find these patterns that look like those ninja stars or even like a circular saw blade. You're going to fit that onto that piece of tag board and you're going to go around and trace it as best as you can. So I'm not going to bore you with my tracing. I've gone ahead and done that already. Once you have the entire star or circular pattern traced, you're going to cut it out. What I have found to be the easiest way to cut is to cut around the circle part first. As I'm cutting, I am making really nice smooth cuts. I'm not doing the kind of chop and cuts where I'm getting all these jagged edges. I'm trying to put the tag board in my scissors as far as it goes so I can take long cuts. So if you get the circle cut out, then cutting out the triangles becomes fairly easy. And again, I'm opening my scissors up and making nice long cuts. If you have jagged, choppy cuts like this, it's going to be really hard to get yarn in there. It's going to snag and catch. So I'm going to go around and finish cutting out all those triangles. So my finished pattern is going to look like this. Once your pattern is cut out, we're going to fold every tab in. This is a step that a lot of kids forget. This is what's going to help your bowl pop up. So I'm just folding them and they're kind of going back, and that's fine. They're not standing straight up. They might lay back down. But I'm just trying to get that crease in the tag board. Once I have them all folded, I'm going to flip it upside down and get my name on there so I don't forget. At this point, you're going to need yarn. Some of you may already have your yarn, some of you might have to go get it. So I'm going to pick one yarn color to start. I can start on any tab. What I'm going to do is I'm going to loop it around. I'm leaving a tail, and I am going to make a double knot. So for some of you, you get a little bit scared about double knots, but double knots are really just like tying your shoe with a knot 2 times. So I'm going to crisscross them, just like I would begin tying my shoe. I'm going to pull that tail through the circle and pull. You want to be careful not to pull too tight on the tag board because it can rip. And I'm going to do the same thing again for a double knot. Crisscross, pull the tail through the loop, and I'm going to tighten that one up, and I now have a double knot. You're going to end up with a lot of tails like this. You can choose to keep them and trim them at the end, or if you want to trim them as you go, you can. I am just leaving a little bit of a tail. I don't want to trim it right by the knot because it could loosen the knot up. Alright, here we go. Weaving. You are going to go in and out around the circle. So I'm going to go outside that little notch and back in. Outside, back in. As I'm weaving, I'm turning this pattern so I always have the string close to me. I'm never like reaching across. So in that notch, out the next. In this notch, out the next. Ignore that bell. At this point, I'm where I started. I'm going to keep my pattern. I've gone out, now I'm going to go in. And if you can see, I'm now going opposite. So the string is going to be on the inside. Then I go out, back in, and out. As I'm turning this, I am pulling that string. When I'm pulling my string, do you see how this is starting to pop up? That's going to get your project to look more like a bowl. In and out, and I'm pulling, and now you can start to see some of those notches coming. If you want to leave your pattern on the table, you can, and turn it from there. In, out. It's nothing more than that pattern of going in and out. When you are doing this, you want to keep pulling tight and keeping your string really tight. If I just go in and out, I'm going to end up with really loose rows. I want my rows to be close together, and I want them to be tight so that those tabs start to pop up. Alright, let's pretend that I have weaved this entire red string and I'm ready for a second string. So I'm going to trim this off just for my demonstration. You don't want to trim your string. You want to use it all the way to the end. Let's pretend that I have a tail left and I know I'm not going to get much further. I'm ready to tie a second color on. So this is kind of a cool trick I have learned. I call it a balloon tie. If you've ever tied the end of a balloon, that's how we're going to tie these two strings together. So I am going to put them side by side. The ends are right next to each other. I am going to take my two fingers, so like my peace sign fingers. I'm going to wrap those two strings around. It's so important that you have long enough string to do that. If you're trying to do it with just a little tail, it's going to be tricky. So I've got lots of string. The string is loose. I'm wrapping it around my fingers, and this end right here is going to go in between my fingers. Just like I knotted. I slid my fingers out, and I'm going to pull, 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 and this will get really tight. I've just knotted those strings together. Again, you can keep those tails there, or you can trim them off a little bit, and you can start weaving. So I just keep going with my pattern. In, out, in, out, in, out. Nothing changes. And now I'm on to my second colored string. There's the knot. In and out. I am going to keep doing this, repeating over and over and over until my string comes close to the top of the tabs. For some of you, that might be today. For some of you, it might be next time. This bowl's a little different. I did weave some beads in here. We are not going to do that today, but you can see that I'm going to have a little space at the top. So the top, it can't go all the way up to the tabs. But a weaving should be really nice and tight. You shouldn't see the bowl or the pattern in between it. And you need to have 2 inches weaved before you are done. So it's a 2-day project. You have 2 days to weave 2 inches up to the top of the bowl. So if you get a ruler and measure this, I know that this is probably about 2.5 inches. So that is it for day 1.